Welcome back, Blockchaingers Hackathon 2018. This is day 3. We have 2.5 hours to go until all coding must stop. And we'll be talking to the track reporters to see what their predictions are and what they noticed these last couple of hours. So first up, I want to welcome Peter Joosten, track reporter for Health Track. Welcome, Peter.
Thanks.
So, how were the last couple of hours? How was the last night? Because it's, well, night here in Holland.
yeah, that's true. What I find quite interesting is that all the teams are working on improving healthcare by making awesome solutions with blockchain technology and all kinds of difficult technical things like Python, Hyperledger and Quorum and I don't know. Mm-hmm. And it also meant that a couple of teams really had to put the night through tonight. So they worked through the entire night.
All right.
And I was thinking this morning about this interview, and then I thought, well, that's interesting. You're working on applications, solutions, software to improve healthcare, but in a kind of way they're making a sacrifice for their own health because they are not sleeping. I think they're quite stressed now because they have 2 hours, 27 minutes and to go.
Exactly.
And they're inside this building all the time while the weather is great in the Netherlands right now.
Fantastic. The sun is coming up.
Let's start with like all the teams are winners. And one other remark I want to make is that it's not per se that the winner of today's hackathon will be the next Google or the next Facebook.
Okay.
It also could be that the jury chooses one solution, but that the other solution needs a little bit more time, and that can also be like the next big thing. So I think there are 2 remarks I want to make before I get to my predictions.
Exactly. So yeah, let's move on to that because there's 9 teams in the health track, and like you said, maybe some of them will need a little more time to fine-tune the last details. Others might be not the greatest Google plans, but might just be done. So what do you think? Which teams actually have a chance of winning today?
Well, it's of course difficult because the jury really makes the decision. But I came up with 2 teams and also a dark horse.
All right.
I was impressed by Future is Now. They're making an application for a hospital at home, and they have really a diverse team, and they're also a set of colleagues. And I was really impressed by the mock-ups they made from the application. So it was really nicely done, really intuitive, really user-friendly. And I feel for me that's an important criteria.
Exactly.
The second I want to point out is Health Unchained. And what I liked is that they're really about no-nonsense solutions. So they say, well, what we are developing is not rocket science, it's not really innovative, but it seems to be working. And I think that's also one thing that the jury really likes, something that's proven, working.
And do they also have a real problem to solve with those?
Yeah.
Simple solutions.
Yeah, they also have they want to develop like a timeline in the application in which you can put in permissions, who can see your data at what moment, and also arrange authorities and roles. And as a user, it's very easy. You can say, well, now I want my general practitioner to see that kind of data and my physician to see that kind of data. And well, they gave the impression that they're on the right track.
And it sounds like a central question that the health track has been working on in the end. Yeah. So the dark horse, who's that? Yeah,
that was for me Stony Creek. And I liked that they were really good with their canvas. So the jury looks at some screenshots, a working prototype and a canvas. And the canvas is more about strategy and business. And I think that's also good that the organization made that one of the criteria, because you can make a fantastic technical solution, but you still have to make money with it. You still have to solve a problem with it. And you still need to think about how you get, when it's done in 2 hours and 23 minutes, you still have to think about how will you continue with the idea and your team. So I think that's really important. And a nice anecdote about that team to conclude is, I visited did them yesterday, and they have a really diverse team of specialists. So there's one guy working on the API, and another on the website, and another on the application. And there's one specialist in the team who is looking at the connection of sensor data to their platform, like sensors of my heart rate or my sleep quality. And he said, and I asked him, well, did you have any setbacks in your team? Because for me as a reporter, that are the little jams.
Exactly.
And he said, well, yeah, I had some problems with connecting my Internet of Things device to our platform. And I asked him, well, what's the problem? Well, he said, yeah, the system kept on rebooting, and I don't know what the hell is going on. And then after 12 hours, I found out that the cable was too thin. I needed another cable, a thicker cable.
Man.
And then I thought, wow, in a world of all this blockchain technology and future,
it's the cable which makes it reboot.
So that's why I give them a little bit of extra.
I can imagine. They have heart for it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you'll be here reporting, writing a little small report on the winner as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Latest articles are to be read on blockchaingers.org under posts. Thank you very much for now.
Good luck.
Thank you. And I would like to see who my next... Oh, we'll take a break for a second and be back with you in a moment. All right.
So, good morning.
Good morning, Krijn Soeteman. So we're back. We're, let's see, 2 hours and 20 minutes to go until the end of the Blockchaingers Hackathon 2018. We're talking to all the track reporters right now to see a bit of the predictions, to see what they have seen the last night. Global digital identities. Let me pronounce this correctly.
Yeah, you did.
What's been going on the last night of the hackathon?
Well, last night it was quite busy here in the hall here, and it was a good vibe. And I left myself around 1:30, and I got here this morning. And apparently something happened yesterday, which I didn't hear yet. I think we talked before about Unchain, which was more on the health track. Mm-hmm. They were to make a better way of bringing medicine from the producer to the end user.
Exactly.
And Identity Crisis, a team which was only here very late Friday night, so I hadn't spoken to them yet. They want to white label medicine so people won't steal them anymore.
Exactly.
And well, they have some kind of love affair right now. We don't know if that's going to happen today for like the end presentation today, but it might certainly be. But it's definitely in their 100-day plan.
All right. So they might surprise us and actually present together. Is that what you're think it might happen?
It might happen, but that was what they first said, and later on they said, well, we also have to do our own presentation, so we will see what's going to happen.
Okay.
I also heard that Unchain itself already has a lot of contact with the health track, so they cannot switch tracks. Yeah. But they will manage somewhere else.
It sounds like they've been getting busy though, and they've been getting the right contacts as well to get their applications across. No?
Yeah, it's exactly what a hackathon is for, isn't it?
Exactly.
Contacts and ideas and everything. Furthermore, a lot has happened, and there's a lot of stress right now. Of course, everything has to be finished in time. And some teams seem to be very relaxed right now, and some, not very relaxed.
Not so much. I have to say, the energy, it feels, just sitting here, it feels a little uncomfortable. Yeah,
and I must say, I mean, I was also talking to people, and they said, like, Krijn, you have to be in the studio. I was like, damn, already?
Yeah, so I think the teams feel the exact same way right now.
And they only have 2 hours and 19 minutes left.
Oh man, countdown has begun.
Yeah.
So a bit of because we have this little love affair going on, but are these also the teams who actually might win? What's your prediction on that?
I think if you look at the teams which are very far already with their development, then Red Cross ID is very far. I talked to one of the track mayors, and they have, they have real good working product already, and
All right.
they might have a worldwide impact, and that also makes a difference. So I think, like if you have other identification related teams, they usually focus on a very small or like business to business, which is of course very important, but there are already many legalities around those identification tracks, or sorry, yeah. But if you go for like identification for refugees, that's really a new track. So
That's true. It's also a big problem, though.
It's
so
a very
if you
big
would
problem.
Manage,
yeah, and it might save a lot of money, and it might save a lot of people standing in line for a long time. So in that case, you would have an identification, and if you want to go to get some blankets or something, you don't have to stand in line again. You just get your blankets, and the system knows you have your blankets, so you don't need to wait in line anymore. So that's probably very important.
So would you say that you expect the team who solves the biggest world problem to win?
I think that might be, but also don't forget the Ministry of Interior Affairs is the track
sponsor.
So
yeah.
of course it's not an interior affair, but eventually.
Every country has something to do with it, obviously. All right, well, this sounds interesting. You'll be writing more about the winners and the progress for the website, blockchangers.org. Check out the Global Digital... the Global Digital Identity articles under posts. Thanks very much. And I think we'll move on right now and go
to
on
our
next guest. Our next track reporter, who will be talking to us about the future of pensions track right now. Welcome.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning to you as well.
So we talked about the future of pensions track yesterday, just a little bit.
Yeah.
We have 2 hours and 16 minutes to go until the deadline.
Yeah, the time's running out little by little.
How's the stress levels?
It depends on the team. Some of them are pretty well off, and they had a good time to talk with me a little bit when I just did a quick round and asked about the results. And I think those are the teams that are the best at this point. If you have 5 or 10 minutes to explain your ideas to a dumb reporter, then I think that it's
then you're relaxed enough.
Yeah, exactly. Then you have done something correctly. And some teams were extremely busy, still working on their projects. So it really depends on what you got.
All right.
At this point.
What did you see in between? I mean, we talked, I guess, 12 hours ago, something around that, maybe 15. What happened in between?
It seems like the teams have their products well made. They are quite getting ready. They have neat-looking interfaces. They have demos. They have something tangible that they can show you. They can show stuff on their laptops and like, this is our product, this is how it works, and it looks pretty interesting at this point because so far you've been just hearing about these ideas and concepts and all that, and now they can actually show you how it works.
Nice.
And then you finally get a good idea.
Do you think? What do you think about the winner? I mean, in the end, today is also about who has prepared the best.
I don't know. I'm not the one who is judging the winner, of course, but
That's true.
to me, I think P-Lounge was pretty well off.
Can you shortly explain us?
P-Lounge had this idea about pension funds that allow you to access part of your pension in case of, for example, when you lose your job and then you're still too young to retire, you're in your 30s, 40s, and then you would be able to access 10% of your current pension fund to be invested in something sustainable, for example, education or solar panels, to create security for future.
Sounds interesting.
I think they are quite well off. Then another one was that I just talked to was a team called Lunabound. Mm-hmm. They are applying this upcoming technology by Ethereum called Proof of Stake.
All right.
So I'm not sure if I can put this in the very correct technical terms, but what they're trying to do is to basically build a system where you can stake your Ethereum currency and get fixed returns because it's a very stable investment that you can do. And this is based on some upcoming technology, so it's not quite there yet, but that will be something really interesting for future. And they had their application very well built already. So I think it's something very, very beneficial for them at this point.
So would you say that you expect the winners to be someone who has a stable application, but also has a steady business case done by now, or?
I think whoever is going to win, they have to be somebody who they have a clear idea what they've been doing, and so far they also have to have been achieved they have to have a good demo, a good model that they can show and convince the judges about that, but there also has to be an obvious application for it. You have to have a good idea and also the purpose for that. Not only the concept, but also how are you going to use it.
And you need to be solving a problem.
Yeah,
basically.
Exactly, yes.
All right.
And you have to know how to do it. Yeah.
Sounds like a good plan as well. I'd like to thank you for now for your small prediction, a small update. If you want to read more about the future of pensions, go to blockchangers.org. Under posts, you'll find more articles, so you'll be updating today as well.
Yes.
After the winners.
Yeah, that'll be another one.
Thank you very much for now.
Yes.
And I'd like to move up to our little Mr. One-Up right there.
Yes.
Like to welcome Wouter Constant.
Good morning.
Good morning. Track reporter for the Digital Nations infrastructure.
Yes.
And it looks to me like you've been following the team through the night, or no?
Yeah, I have. I've been following the teams through the night. Had a tiny bit of sleep, but I'm all active now.
Hardcore reporting.
Yeah. Well, one of my guys, or one of the teams in my track, also pulled an all-nighter. So.
All right.
I had a little bit of sleep. I think these guys didn't. So.
All right, so we spoke last, I think about 15 hours ago. We have 2 hours and 10 minutes to go until the deadline. What happened in between?
Well, like I said, there was one team who was so dedicated that they cut out sleep. 3 of the 8 people from the team stayed. And, well, there was one team who finally had to make some tiny little pivot at the end to make sure that they could convince the Chamber of Commerce as the Cadastre, which are the track sponsors of this.
Exactly. Is this the team we talked about yesterday, who was actually kind of building for? Not for, well, where the Chamber of Commerce.
They were building for the Chamber of Commerce.
Exactly.
And they later thought that, well, we can adopt the Cadastre as well, but the Cadastre wasn't satisfied. But they really tried hard to rank in like the Cadastre as well. So.
And do you think they managed?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. They were very critical, the Cadastre.
Well, that's good. Critical is good.
I mean, sure.
We're here to see some good work in the end, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, with little time to go, they're still working hard, most of them. Who do you think will win? Do you have a bit of a prediction?
It's difficult for a number of reasons. First of all, it's a very broad track.
Right.
We have a group that is building some smart home that's anonymous or autonomous, I should say. An anonymous home is difficult to find, right? Hard to get your mail if you have an anonymous home. Anyway, we have a group that is building a distributed supercomputing network. We have a group that will allow you to create a spontaneous a flash company.
All right.
Between different people only for a particular job, which is basically the old-fashioned company from the Renaissance days of northern Italy and the Netherlands, where the United East India Company was an evolution of. So maybe their idea of this flash company to go and do one job, which propelled us into modernity here in the Netherlands, maybe propels us to modernity 2.0.
You think this might trigger the Chamber of Commerce, these kinds of ideas?
Well, it will trigger them for sure. The group is called Make the KVK Great Again.
Oh, right. So make the Chamber of Commerce
make
great
the Chamber
again.
of Commerce great again. So these are spirited guys, crazy ideas. So there are a lot of different solutions to different problems, and so it's hard to compare them. If I have to look at maybe, okay, if I have to do it on spirit, it's close between two, but I have to give it to the guys of D-Chained, and one girl, I should say, because they are the ones who pulled the all-nighter.
All right.
And order and structure, I would have to give it to GoBlock, another team who they are very professional in how they go
All
about
right.
things.
So I guess then in your track we have we'll call it a head-to-head between spirit and
something like
preparation.
that. Yeah.
Sounds good. I'd like to thank you for now for this short comments. If you want to read more about the Digital Nations infrastructure, please go to blockchangers.org. See for more articles, click posts, and I'd like to welcome Merve Guvendik from Energy Transition Track to update us on the latest that's been going on in the energy track.
Hi, good
morning,
morning, Julia.
It's 2 hours, 6 minutes to go. I just keep looking back because, countdown has begun. That's basically what's going on. So how's the energy track holding up?
The energy is super high for some teams. For some teams has disappeared since last night.
Disappeared?
No, I think they are still working in their own house or somewhere. We don't know yet.
All right.
Yeah, 2 tables were missing, but they should be somewhere around.
They've hidden somewhere to just cocoon?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
So what have we seen? Last we spoke, it was 15 hours ago, so there was still quite some time to actually develop and move on. What happened since?
I talked to some teams, they just developed a prototype during the night. So they
Just
didn't
like
have
that?
anything, and then now they have a nice prototype to show to us what they are doing.
Sounds
so
good.
It made the things much more clear.
Yeah.
So that was one development. Like now, almost all of them have a prototype that is a kind of a user interface as well.
All right.
Some of them are a little bit like blackish still, these very IT-looking screens.
All right.
Some of them are really nice on the user interface. I think they will have a good advantage from the jury criteria today.
That's actually an interesting remark because thinking about the jury, what do you think they will look at, or who do you think makes most chance to win this track?
I think the first thing they're going to look at the impact on society.
Yes.
How impactful is the idea? So I see 2 teams, like one team, Windmill Village. They want to create a local economy within their local society.
Exactly.
With a nice social impact they have in mind. So it might have an advantage in that criteria for sure. And another impact, I think if it's solving a real problem, then it's a good impact already in the society in the short term, and even on the long term it could be. So one team, Bancom, they are really solving a real problem.
Yeah.
That is I think I see it a nice one.
Might be one of the winners, therefore.
Yeah. I have my thoughts on that. Yes.
Sounds good, but it sounds like you have more, like there's something else.
Yes, there's something else, exactly. And then how they're gonna do it, that is another question I think the jury will be thinking about, what kind of solution. So on that, I see this woman team, Pepitas.
Yes.
They have a really nice user interface. That was the most bright looking interface I have seen today. It was quite promising.
All right, and does it work also? And does it, their idea is basically to store all the information about the home, right?
Exactly. So what they do right now, that you can click on, for example, your smart meter data, and then you can click switch on and off the control. No. How do you say? You can give the authority to the other party to use your data. right away over there, it is very easy to see to which company, which data you want to share. Yeah.
Exactly. So, does it work except for the user interface?
Oops.
Be careful. It's all right.
Yes. I think
yeah.
it works. So far, at least there are some features they are working.
Could the ladies win?
I think they have a good chance. They already have a lot of balloons on their table. they look very colorful.
Oh, that's a good start.
Yeah, and then there can be also maybe some positive discrimination. Yeah, we will see.
We will see.
I don't want to speculate too much about it, but yeah. Yes.
Anything else that you want to share with us before we...
Yeah, I've seen a really nice website that Windmill Village has designed.
All right.
I really like looking at it. It's looking really futuristic and very cool. So yeah, they might.
You want to
also
plug it for a second?
Yeah, could be. Yes. Exactly. Yeah, and yeah, these are all my impressions from today. We are all too excited to see the pitches from the teams.
Right. Oh, so am I. So it's. I keep
2
looking
hours.
back. Exactly. The time just keeps ticking.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you very much. Your latest article is on blockchaingers.org.
Sorry?
Your latest article is on our website, right?
Yes, it's already, and then there will be another article about the winning team.
Great. So go to blockchaingers.org to check out the articles about the energy transition and all the other tracks, of course. Thank you very much for now.
Thanks, Julia.
And I'd like to welcome to the table Laurens Bonneba to talk to me about the machine-to-machine economy track. Let's see what's happened there. It's the one track where we know one hardcore team stayed, not last night, but the night before already, right?
Yeah. They stayed until, I think, 3:30, maybe even later, to work on the questions that they're asking and answering.
Oh, man.
As we said yesterday already, there's a lot of fundamental questions being asked and answered in a machine-to-machine track.
Yeah.
The word ecosystem flies around a lot because all the teams have moved towards answering bigger questions even than the already pretty big ones that they started out with. There's a lot of nature metaphors being used. Anthills, beehives, viruses, cancers, swarms, all those terms passing by. But before I ramble on,
well,
anything to ask?
I thought you might have something nice to tell me, so I thought I'd give you a little time.
Okay.
But yeah, no. We're for a reason, obviously. We have 2 hours on the clock. The teams, I don't know, how's the M2M track doing? I can see them over my shoulder and they're all standing up, so it seems like they're still talking to each other. What's happening there? How's the last 2 hours looking for the track?
The last 2 hours is pretty frantic. They're working towards something practical to show. Some of them will present what they found out and simulated and some data analysis. Some of them will present an idea, essentially,
all right.
A little bit more fleshed out as opposed to actual simulations. Let's see. And that has all to do with what I started out rambling about, the whole nature discussions, the ecosystems. Most, if not all, of the teams are currently focusing on what they can learn from, for example, looking at nature, which is a totally different a system than we've devised as humans, even though we're part of nature.
Yeah.
Where, based on a simple set of rules, you can create pretty complex behavior. That is the essence. And for that to really work, you have to have trust. Either trust out of sheer stupidity, not knowing better, or trust built in. And for humans, the last bit is probably the best. Built the trust in, because if we can game something, you'll definitely game it. And I think the most promising team at the moment, in my opinion, is the one that actually uses a game as a metaphor. So.
And what is their application about? What do they want to? What's the team called also?
That team is called Liftoff, and Liftoff is currently working on free transportation for everyone. So if they succeed, it's going to be good for all of us. And they moved from cars, which was their initial thing, to transportation in general, and then they took a page from the Settlers of Catan, the game.
Right.
They actually have it on top of their table. They really looked into the algorithms behind Catan. spun up a blockchain DB to capture all the data, not just from the Catan playing, of course,
Yeah.
it's from the actual nodes doing the simulation. But they created a similar set of simple rules to also make it fun to live in an ecosystem like this, because humans tend to work better when they have fun. So systems designed for some elation are also more interesting to look into. And the thing that they're currently working on is to solve the transportation problem from two angles. One being having transportation available for everyone at any given point in time for free. Well, at least not to have to pay for it every time you
Use it.
use it.
Yeah.
Because almost nothing is ever really free, of course. But then they went one step further in their simulations, and they're now simulating what would happen if you could instantiate the venue that you want to visit using transport closer by. In other words, when the algorithm is fed information that like hundreds of people want to go to the same venue, why not create that venue nearby? And that was kind of a mind warp, because putting that into the simulation made for much more interesting blockchain stuff, but also big chain DB for the win action. So they're really maxing out the capacity of that technology.
All right.
And they're pretty close to actually presenting a working simulation.
It also sounds like even if they have a working simulation, this might be such a big idea that we're not sure. It's not something like maybe in other tracks that would be able to be implemented, or they would be able to implement within this year, so to say.
But they will have a 1,000-day plan to do just that.
All right.
And that alone is amazing. If you
So
come
3 years time to actually make it work, and if they win, and
then,
see if
then
it
at least
gives them
there
something.
should be some smart cities in the world that use the technology that they've developed in the past 2 days to not only make transportation free for everyone in those cities, but also to have, for example, bookstores pop up where you want
you
them,
need them.
as opposed to where they are, which is a little bit vague and
It is a bit
interesting.
vague, and there's a lot of different kind of questions popping up in my head, like should we want this or not? Are we? But it's the machine-to-machine track, so we'll leave them thinking about it for a while. I'd like to talk more about this, but for now, I think we need to move on to our next contestant.